Hello, Yolanda. Sorry, I
Hi.
got you right mid-drink.
Hi.
Welcome to this week's episode of Marketing Matters. I'm Erin Sanchez from candidlyerin.com.
And I'm Yolanda from Y Social Marketing.
And every week we show up right here at 1 p.m. Oh my God, 11 a.m. Pacific.
Thursday.
Thursdays. Sorry, you guys. This might be our third take, but 11 a.m. Pacific on Thursdays, and we help you with all of your marketing questions, concerns, challenges. We've been focusing on email list growth, but you and I were chatting behind the scenes about some of the other things that kind of challenge us in business and marketing, and that's not always the strategies and the tactics. Sometimes it's the mindset and getting in our own heads and all of that. So we wanted to step away from that tactical stuff this week and chat a little bit about the other stuff, because a couple weeks in, you might be feeling some of those other stresses and doubts and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, right? Of when you an online entrepreneur, especially, and you see everyone else around you seemingly succeeding and doing way better than you, you start comparing yourself and start letting the doubts set in, and you feel worse and worse, and then it gets to the point where you don't even get out of bed. So it's so important that every entrepreneur works on their mindset. And we both wrestled with this. We both had
absolutely. Yes. And I think, one of the things for me anyway has been, you do all this marketing and you want, like you mentioned earlier, right? Instant gratification. You're like, I put on this work, I want to see results right now. But we have to trust the process and know that these things take time. You have to show up in front of people 7 or more times before they even really register like what it is you're doing, what it is you offer. So it's about consistency. And so we want to talk about, for me, I'll speak for myself, but it's like not kind of getting sucked into that place where you're just wallowing in why things aren't working or why that person is getting this and I'm not, or whatever. So
because when we're wallowing in self-pity, we forget that person started maybe 6 years before we did. So it's important to keep the perspective on things. Like if you started your business yesterday or a month ago, you are not going to be as ahead as, say, I am, or you are, or that big influencer, or Kim Kardashian.
Definitely not. But we won't talk about what she did for marketing.
No, we won't talk about that. I love that saying about start now. You know that when you're Instagram and everyone says just start now. It's so important that you actually do start, because the sooner you start building your authority and gaining greater visibility, because it takes a while, like you say, those 7 or 8 interactions before people actually remember your name.
Or even go ahead.
Which, by the way, is why the welcome series is so important in the email.
Yes, which we will come back to.
We'll come back to that maybe next week. Which is, you need to constantly remind people that you exist.
It's like when you watch, even when I watch TV, there will be a commercial that I'll always catch the end of, because there's a song that starts playing, or you kind of see that like punchline at the end or whatever. And it doesn't really click with me what they're even selling or what the commercial's about until I've seen it so many times that I already know the song, So it's about showing up consistently. There's one that they're playing like crazy right now, and it's a beer commercial, and I will sing along with the song, but I didn't even realize what they were advertising until after I'd already memorized the song,
I can so relate.
So there's definitely, there's no one trick to success, but it's about consistency. It's about continuing to show up and believing that all of the actions you're doing are, taking you to that next step. And I love what you said about, the super successful people, especially influencers, when sometimes you hear their story or you read an article and they say, well, when I started in 2005, let that sink in. That's
Yeah.
almost 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what most people forget. I
yeah,
mean, these people have been around a while, like decades.
yeah,
And that's why they reached their peak now, or are doing so well now.
right.
So if you started this year or last year or even 4 years ago,
Yeah,
yeah, slowly but surely, you just have to persevere. You just have to be consistent.
yeah,
And going back to the point that you made earlier there, Erin, it's also so important. It's important to remember that we're so inundated with content and information, like bombarded, right?
oh yeah,
That we're good at blocking off. Our brains have developed this ability now. We just don't take notice of so much. This is why it's
right.
important to show up, so
Yeah,
that you can actually pop up into someone's feed or into the email box and say, I exist. Look at me. This
yeah,
is what I can do for you. Yeah.
yeah. Definitely. And I was thinking, because you and I talked about this last week, and we don't have to talk about specific numbers or anything. I wouldn't even know them off the top of my head, but like, I don't know when you started your first blog, Sweet 532, but for me,
2016.
when?
2016.
Me too, with mine at Candidly Erin. And what's funny is, for a long time I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I see these other bloggers, like they say these are the steps to take to get traffic. And, I would get little spikes and some months would be a lot better than others. But now in my third full year on that blog, and I haven't even been as consistent as I would like to be on there, I'm finally starting to see the traffic coming in, because it takes time for your domain to have enough authority, link juice, and all of that for Google or Bing or whoever to really even take it seriously and start saying, hey, this is a legitimate site, So 3 years in, and it's finally starting to see. So
The same year.
yeah.
I mean, it was only this year that I think I spoke to you about this, that I realized that Google loves me.
Yeah. Yeah, finally.
Wow. Yeah, I have a lot of website visits now, but not
Yeah.
when I first started out. It
No.
was normal to get like 1 visitor, yeah, and 10 visitors 2 months later. That was
Yeah.
perfectly normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're just too hard on ourselves when you start out. It's important to just have the right mindset, the right attitude.
Mm-hmm.
You have to persevere. You have to be patient.
Yes. It's hard for some of us.
Yeah, patience is a requirement. If you
Yeah.
lack patience, you're not going to make it. Yeah.
No. And I think, especially like, and we could go deep down this path of like personality types and all of that, but I did some like those assessments we were talking about, and like all of my top strengths are things like strategy, future thinking. Futuristic is my number one, and I've always known that about myself. Back when I was in community college, I was like, this is what I'm going to major in. I laid out my schedule. I figured out my 20-year plan, where this was going to take me. And I forgot to just live in the now and focus on the things I needed to be succeeding at today to make sure that I could even get, like that was never my focus. And it's still something I struggle with today. And because of that, I think that instant gratification piece is especially difficult for me to deal with, because I'm like, I live in the future. So it's like, well, why isn't this happening now? So these are things you need to kind of take stock of, is like, how are you reacting to things? Are you being realistic? Are you expecting more than maybe what is, realistic? Not that you can't dream and aim big, but,
Yeah.
Don't get down on yourself if
But
things aren't going.
that's a wonderful thing to do, by the way. Those future exercises, like the future me exercises,
Sure, they're great.
they're wonderful. They're powerful.
Yeah.
But what we must remember is the future is created in the present.
Yes.
So what you are doing today is actually painting the picture of your future.
Right.
So if you're not showing up to your laptop or your computer every day and doing something. It doesn't matter if it's like a 10-minute thing that's going to move you forward, or if it's a 2-hour, 3-hour thing that's going to move you forward. You just have to show up. And it's part of that self-care that we're going to speak about here.
Yeah.
Because there's this confusion about self-care. People think self-care is long hot baths and candles and reading books and eating chocolates and maybe going away for a nice mountain, getaways with the hubby or partner, whatever, to the mountains. And
which these all sound wonderful, by the way.
Yeah, I think I said mountains 3 times. Anyway, which is all wonderful, but that's what people think is self-care.
Yeah.
But self-care is not only that. Self-care is the showing up. Self-care is getting out of bed, because you know if you don't, your life's going to be considerably worse the next day because you haven't done, or you know what I mean? You've you've ignored stuff, or you're postponing stuff that you shouldn't be, or procrastinating.
Yeah.
All of this, though, is hard. We know it's hard. And you have to have that self-compassion, that empathy to understand this is hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remind myself that often, this is hard, but I have to do it. I told you that last night I was driving in not a blizzard, but it was a snowstorm, but it was close to a blizzard.
Yeah.
I had to do it. It was business related. I had to do it.
Yeah.
Hard, but I did it.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think even going for the small, easy wins, just to the baby steps, sometimes that's all, and I'll just get super, transparent, raw, whatever. But there are days when I have to muster everything I have to go shower and put on a face and feel like a human, right? Because you get so sucked into the tasks and the to-dos and everything that sometimes self-care is just taking a shower, brushing your hair.
So
as an entrepreneur, especially if you're working from home, it's very easy to get sucked into that cycle. And then, like you said, there's sometimes the next day you feel guilty. You feel worse about yourself because, oh, you slob, you didn't do anything yesterday, So you're just setting yourself up.
Those bad feelings are compounded, and you just, you're just making it worse for yourself. And of course, getting up to take that shower is an act of self-love, right?
Yeah, it totally is. Definitely.
It is. It's an act of self-love. You're saying to yourself, I care enough to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, I practice yoga. I cannot tell you how often, because physically, I have a spine issue. Physically, I'm not really built for yoga, but I love how I feel afterwards. But during the whole flow routine, not so pleasant.
Yeah.
But I show up regularly on the mat. See what I'm saying? Like you with your exercise.
Yeah. And I love fitness. I love working out, but I love the idea of working out sometimes more than the actual doing. But once I get started, for me, again, it always comes back to baby steps, because running sometimes is the last thing that I want to do. So I say, okay, instead of going hard for 30 minutes, just start walking. Just set a goal for doing a 10-minute walk on the treadmill or whatever. And I say treadmill because it rains so often here in Seattle. I still do we take our dogs out, but it's not nearly as fun as during the summertime.
Not in the rain.
Yeah. But once I start walking, once I start getting out of my head and getting those endorphins, serotonins, whatever going, then I'm I do the 30 minutes every single time, because I just take the baby steps and say, just do a little bit. And then your body is thanking you, your mind is thanking you, because it's a wonderful escape. You can't just focus on what you need to be doing, why it's not working, what is strategizing. Sometimes you have to get out of your head and just walk away from it and go do something. Important. Yeah.
And you have to do it every day.
Yes.
And you also have to treat your business like a business. So you should show up at a certain time.
Yes.
This really changed my life when I started doing it.
Yeah.
You really should show up at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, let's say, and then you must decide what time you finish. So whatever it is. But then, like a proper business, you should have a lunch hour. and
Yes.
maybe a couple of tea breaks.
Yeah.
Coffee breaks.
I do the same.
But slot those in and
Yeah.
start treating your business like a business.
Yes.
Far too many solopreneurs, entrepreneurs just don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you run across this all the time where they say, oh, I only work if maybe on a Tuesday and maybe on a Thursday. And then what do you do for the rest of the week? Because remember,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs work harder than anyone else. We
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
Yeah. Most Saturdays I work.
Yeah.
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 So,
And I would say, and I think you touched on this, and this is something I've written about before in a blog post about self-care, is, it is super important to have the scheduled time. Like for me, I have a morning routine, which we can talk about morning, because I think recently you posted about like,
yeah.
what do you have to do to start your day? But my thing is I do start around 9 o'clock every single morning, but it's so important to have an end time.
Yeah.
Because if you don't set or a lunchtime, and a lunchtime, right? If you don't set those boundaries where you are taking breaks, like your brain is going to go to mush anyway. So you're not functioning at optimal levels.
Yeah.
And you're going to burn out because you're not, and maybe you're going to, make your spouse mad or frustrated or whatever too, because you're not ever just sitting down. And like, I remember, and my husband is so supportive of my business, but I remember one day he said, it was either a weekend, an evening, something. And he goes, I thought you weren't going to be doing emails. Like you said, and I was like, okay, yeah, you are right to call me out, because I was like, oh, I'm just checking emails. No, close it, work very productively that's why it's important to have that start time so that you can get your stuff done and say, I'm done,
know. You can't have this attitude or this idea that you start when you roll out of bed.
No. Oh my gosh. No. Checking your emails in bed. No.
No. If this is how you're operating your business, then no, it's in the long term, it's not going to work out for you.
No.
Yeah, no. You have to just treat it as a business.
And
before you hit Kim Kardashian heights, treat
yes.
your business. And trust me, right. I bet you she works very hard. Yeah. I bet you she has like 16-hour days. Yeah. She probably makes it look effortless, but it's not. That's the secret. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of people who are super successful, they make it look like easy and effortless, but it's not.
Yeah. There's a fitness guru, influencer that I've followed off and on for years. And in the beginning, people used to be like, I mean, I know she still has a lot of critics now, but they would really come down on her like, oh, right, your life is so hard because you just work out and you hang out all day and you have all this money and whatever. And so she started doing with social media, going with like stories and Snapchat, like when all of that started kind of allowing us to just do more behind the scenes, moment by moment stuff. It's like this woman works her butt off.
Does not stop.
Yeah. Does not stop. Does not stop. That's that's such a great insight. Yeah. And the rolling out of
why you need self-care though, right? Yes. Because you have to put in the hours, but you also have to make time to unwind, to relax, to connect with your family. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought up the rolling out of bed and working thing, because I want to address something that I see on social media all the time, and it's the 24/7 hustle of an entrepreneur. We do hustle. We have times like you said, it's hard. We have to work a lot, right? It's not all just like riding horses on the beach and whatever, right? But I've seen a lot of glorifying of people putting their schedule like 4:30, check email, 5, post on LinkedIn, 6, do the. No, why would you do that? You might as well be working a job. Like, you're better off working a job, right? In that situation. That's not having, like, most people are creating a business so that they can have a life that they love and enjoy. And I love my work, but I also need time where I'm reading for enjoyment. I'm journaling. That's one of my ways I start my day. I'm meditating or doing yoga or whatever. You can't be turned on all
No,
the
you
time.
can't. 100%. It's like you said earlier, you don't want to burn out.
No,
And if you've ever experienced burnout, trust me, because I have. Yeah,
I have to.
yeah.
Yes.
You don't want to ever go through that.
No.
Like, yeah, your brain is fried and it takes a very long time to recover.
A very long time. I didn't write a blog post for months. And I felt, and here's the thing about burnout is, on the one hand, you're like, I don't care, screw it all. On the other hand, you have so much guilt and pent up, like, I should, that it's not like you're recovering when you're going through that, you're just getting deeper into, how do I get out of this.
I think the key is, before we misunderstood you, because I just said that we have to work hard, and then
Yeah.
also so I don't want to be confusion here.
Yeah.
Because I am not pro this whole Gary Vaynerchuk. I love him, but I don't like the whole 24/7 philosophy.
Right. I agree.
It's damaging. You will have, burnout or nervous breakdown. It will kill you. But you do have to show up.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is where people, like, they think they're getting away with saying, oh, it's a self-care day. But when you follow them on Instagram, they're having self-care days every second day. Do you see what I'm saying? Then this is a problem.
Yeah.
Because you have to do the work. And so when I say it's not easy, I mean in terms of, you have to write your blog post, you have to create your email, your offerings, your freebies, your email welcome series. You have to do, you have to stay in touch with people. You have to network. It's busy, right? Network. All of this takes time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
But you then have to slot into your day, every single day, that hour break or that 15-minute, getting onto the phone with a friend and just chatting about, I don't know, concerts and wine and
right, chocolate
and mountain getaways.
Yes.
Like 15 minutes or 30 minutes, like we do.
Yes.
You need that.
Yeah.
You need to,
Yeah, I think what it is, because yes, it does get confusing, and it's like, well, you have to work hard, but you have to also take it easy. But the way I see it is, you work hard and focused during your set work times.
Yeah.
And you just make sure that it doesn't, creep into every other area of your life.
Yeah, so important. I mean, I don't work after 5. That's my rule. I'm at my desk at 9 and I'm done at 5.
That's exactly me too. Yeah.
Yeah. But as you heard, I do have an hour lunch as well. And I do take my coffee breaks. But when I'm productive, Like, there's no interruptions. I'm just focused.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. And it takes discipline. I'm not even going to pretend that this is easy. I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
I wasn't born wired this way.
No. I definitely not. I'm a wired procrastinator, and it has taken a lot, because way earlier in the conversation, you said, start now, because the sooner you start, it's like, okay, if your blog takes 3 years to start really getting traction, the longer you wait to start, the longer the farther out your success is. And so, that was me. I was a master procrastinator, and I finally had to learn the hard way that you have to start doing stuff now. And it's, like you said, you're creating your future today. It's the only way. And the discipline thing, this is something that same fitness influencer said. The number one question people ask her is, how do you stay motivated to work out all the time and eat right? And she said, it's part motivation some days, but it's almost all discipline. It's not about motivation, it's about discipline. And that applies to everything, I think.
It does. Yeah, it does. I wanted to say something, I completely forgot. Yes, here it is. I think it's also important to mention here, in case people think, but really it takes 3 years to get your, what I mean, traffic to your website. There is a shortcut or a trick, and I can tell you what it is in one word: money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have a lot of money, because I work with big organizations on their social media and that, then it doesn't take
Yeah.
3 years for people to get to see your blog or to know about your product on Facebook, because you have the money to advertise and to push it.
Yes, absolutely. And there are other variables as well. Some people post, if you know, some blogs that get faster traction because they have content going up daily. I don't post daily, not even close. There's also doing, if you can manage to do massive guest posting where you are getting all these link backs to your site and it's really, you know, boosting your ranking, right?
Yeah.
There's so many variables. So the numbers could be all over the place. But if you're just kind of like, hey, I'm going to post a weekly post and I have a lot of other things going on in my business, just know that it's going to take time. And if you don't have a lot of money, it's definitely going to take time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So yeah, we this is for like the average entrepreneur who's just starting out. This is for you. Just hang in there, be patient, persevere, be consistent, and just show up.
And remember, the Gary Vaynerchuks, the Amy Porterfields, they have ghostwriters, they have teams, they have, I mean, they have people, not that they didn't hustle, not that they still don't work hard, but they have a lot of people helping them show up and hustle 24/7, you know? Exactly. So that's something else to keep in mind too. Yeah. No.
So did we cover all the points on
I think we could go another couple hours, but I don't know if people want to listen to us for another couple of
hours. We've probably lost a few by now.
Yeah, but it's such an important topic, and it is something that I'm so passionate about because I think it's probably one of the main things that kills people's businesses. They burn out, they give up, you know, they feel like a failure because they're not practicing self-care, because they're not showing up consistently. Yeah, we covered a lot. Hey.
And it's like that Instagram hashtag, right? Mindset is everything. It really, really is.
It is.
Have the right mindset and you will succeed.
Yeah.
So do that work. I mean, do the work of your, you know, working on your attitude, your mindset. And absolutely. You mentioned this, Erin, in one of our conversations about having faith.
Yes.
You have to just have faith that your time will come, but you have to, of course, do the work to make sure your time's going to come.
Exactly.
Sow the seeds, right? So that you can have a harvest. You can't have a harvest if you haven't sown the seeds.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's true. And we never know what seeds other people have planted, you know, when we see them spring up, you know, not to like take the metaphor like too literally, but like when we do see them pop up overnight success, what seeds have they been planting along the way that we didn't see? You know, so important to keep in mind. Yeah.
So true. Yeah.
Yay. I love this conversation. I think I needed it too.
I think we should have more of these conversations too, not just the tips and marketing tricks, but definitely more of these. Because we all struggle, right? It might look like we're all having a glorious time, which most of the time I actually have.
Yes. Oh, for sure. But for the marketing, the marketing to be successful, you've got to have the mindset aspect. You've got to have the perseverance and be able to deal with the lows, you know, the dips and all of that. So definitely important. Awesome. Well, next week we'll probably, I don't want to make any promises because, you know, but
I do think we should do the welcome series because we touched on it again today and it is so important.
Yeah, it is important. And it goes along with what we were talking about today and last week with showing up and helping people get to know you. So we'll talk about the welcome series for your email on next week's episode of Marketing Matters. Again, you can find
Thursdays.
On Thursdays, yes. Did I say something else or did I just not say it? Okay.
We're just reminding, we're just reiterating it.
Yes,
Thursday, 11.
So if we say it 7 more times. Yes, Thursdays, 11 a.m. Pacific. Again, I'm Erin from candidlyerin.com.
I'm Yolanda from Wise Social Marketing.
And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.